So let's move on to our second category, Brian. Pass defense for Notre Dame versus the pass offense for Florida State. And I think this is the biggest question mark because we
for
don't know who
both
the
teams.
quarterback is going to be for Florida State. And defensively for Notre Dame, you pretty much got a brand new secondary out there within reason. And so you got a lot of unknowns coming in in this aspect of the offense versus the defense. I think the bigger unknown is that, well, for us, because we're not at Florida State practice, right? Because they haven't named a starter. That's the bigger question mark for me is who the quarterback's going to be. If it's Travis, I'm really in no way worried about the pass game. I'm just not. I'm sorry.
Well, I guess where I would say I would disagree with you is I'm not worried about him picking the Notre Dame defense apart. Where I'm concerned about this matchup, Vince, is him scrambling around. The safeties are like, uh-oh, Travis is running again, and he pulls up and throws it over your head. That's where Jordan Travis had success last year. Those are the areas where I feel like that's where you run that risk of, okay, you want to have your safeties coming down and helping in the pass game or in the run game or when he scrambles. I mean, again, as I pointed out in the North Carolina game, he only went 8 of 19 against North Carolina.
Yeah.
But it went for 191 yards. Right. Those were big plays.
Yeah, right.
And, averaged, even though he was at 42% completions, they averaged 10.1 yards per attempt in that game.
Wow.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Right. Even though, and you don't see that when you're completing under 50, barely over 40% of your passes, then that's because of what they did in the big plays. I mean, they averaged 23.9 yards per catch in those games. So it was just a bunch of bombs over there. It's almost kind of like they were a modern version of Navy. If Navy kind of came into the modern era, and what would a Navy offense look like if they weren't a pure triple option team anymore? It's what Florida State looked like last year with Jordan Travis, the quarterback, right? And that's the danger.
When everybody gets sucked in because they're worried about the run, and then they throw it over the top because you've got your eyes in the backfield. That's essentially what you're saying.
That's what I'm saying. And they have enough athletes in the skill positions at receiver. When you look at Keyshawn Helton, you look at Ontario Wilson, when you look at Cam McDonald, they're tight end. They like to use their backs in the pass game. I mean, Lawrence Tafili, I think, what did I say? 3 carries for -1 yards against Notre Dame last year. We had a 31-yard catch where he lines up in the slot, runs a corner out, beats Houston Griffith, then catches the ball and gets a 31-yard gain.
Right.
So that's, am I worried about Jordan Travis dropping back and picking Notre Dame apart? No, not at all. Do I think that their offensive line can protect the quarterback? I hope not. If they can't, then that's going to be a problem. That's going to be a bad sign for Notre Dame.
Yes.
The fear, however, that I think we need to look at is they don't have to go 23 of 30 to hurt the Notre Dame defense in the pass game. They just have to go 10 of 17 with a couple bombs.
Yeah.
And that's because, again, we talk. They almost averaged 200 yards rushing a game last year, despite the fact they gave up 1 million sacks. And Jordan Travis wasn't any worse last year than he's going to be this year.
Sure.
Right. And so now they don't have Tamorrion Terry, which as a player hurts them, but as a culture in your locker room helps them.
Yeah.
They had a couple, 2 or 3 really headaches on their roster last year receiver. Those guys are gone. And so when I look at Florida State, they weren't very good throwing the ball this year. But look, that was Notre Dame's weakness on defense last year. They're past it. Those numbers are pretty mediocre.
Well, absolutely.
And especially when you consider where the pass defense was the previous 2 years, Notre Dame had a top 10 pass defense in 2019 and 2018. They were outstanding. Well, all the guys from that defense are gone. And now it's, okay, well, what will this group be? Now, again, we could talk about some of the issues that Notre Dame had last year in the pass defense. Sean Crawford playing safety. He got exposed against Florida State. They had Sean Crawford playing corner. Remember that? Yep. And he got smoked by Tamorrion Terry a couple times, one for a long touchdown. Well, Sean Crawford should have been playing corner. He's playing corner because dudes were out with COVID.
Yeah, right.
Because Notre Dame went almost a month between the South Florida game and the Florida State game because of COVID. So you have to factor that into it. But, look, is Clarence Lewis, is he going to be ready to play in this game? Is Tariq Bracy going to be back to the guy that he was in 2018 as a true freshman? Florida State tried to go deep on him several times. They went 0 for 6 trying to test Tariq Bracy back in 2018. Is he going to be back to being that guy? Is Cam Hart ready to step up and be a playmaker? And the other concern that I have is, look, the second safety, Florida State took advantage of that last year multiple times for big plays. They didn't go after Sean. They went after Sean Crawford, and they went after the Houston Griffith and DJ Brown. That's who they went, and Shane Simon in the pass game.
Smart.
That's who they attacked. And Mike Norvell is a smart football. He didn't get here.
Right.
He didn't become the head coach of Florida State just because his stunning good looks, or because they thought it was cool. He used to have cornrows when he played at Central Arkansas, right? It's because this guy's a really – yes, he did. You didn't know that?
Stop it.
You didn't know that? Oh, I got to show you that when the show's over.
Oh, my gosh.
Mike Norvell's a really good, smart football coach, and he's coached against Notre Dame before, not just last year. And again, that's the other thing. Mike Norvell wasn't at this game last year.
No, he wasn't. And that's a point I don't think a lot of people are bringing up, at least Notre Dame fans.
Yeah.
I'm sure Florida State fans are, well, we didn't even have our head coach, at that game. But, yeah, I mean, that's still a very good point.
The point is both teams were hurt by COVID last year. Notre Dame hadn't played in a month, and Florida State didn't have their head coach. Who's their offensive,
right, he's their offensive coordinator, essentially.
He faced Notre Dame twice when he was at Arizona State. They scored on Notre Dame both times in that game. If you remember, even though Notre Dame won in 2013, Arizona State still scored a lot. And then, of course, in 2014, they scored over 50 points, although they were aided by, like 2 pick sixes that game, right? So, anyway, I think he's a smart offensive coach. I really like Mike Norvell as an offensive mind. I think that is an area that we have to take into consideration, that this isn't just some talented team with a coach who can't direct them. That's the Willie. That was the case in the Willie Taggart era.
Oh yeah,
that's not the case in the Mike Norvell area. So he's going to have them schemed up. He's going to have athletes to throw to, like I said, and they've got some freshman receivers this year. Josh Burrell, Malik McClain. There's some good football players there. Again, no great ones, but some good players there. If the Notre Dame secondary is as bad as maybe some outsiders think it's going to be, this could be a problem.
Yeah.
And for you and I, guys that think the secondary is going to be better, this is going to be a legitimate test for them. And you and I both know, Vince, even if Jordan Travis is missing receivers, you and I are going to be able to evaluate this game and say, you know what? That guy was missing receivers. This is going to be a problem in future games because they're going to have quarterbacks that are going to be more accurate, in this regard.
Yeah, if guys are running open and just because he's not hitting them, then we're going to have a different discussion when we're talking on Monday or Tuesday or whenever you and I get together and talk.
Right.
But, yeah, it's going to be a different discussion because, look, Notre Dame still has to cover these guys. And you're going to be at the game. You're going to see the all-22 because that's going to be your sight line. Right. And you're going to be able to tell me, and I dread the text where you text me and you're like, tight end was wide open down the middle, or, he missed the post completely that was open, or, whatever the case may be. If I start getting those texts, that's when I start to get a little bit worried.
Right. Now, again, part of that could be first game jitters. But again, this is a test for the Notre Dame defense. And it's also going to be a big test for the Notre Dame pass rush.
Big time.
This is not a great Florida State offensive line they're a much better group of run blockers than they are pass blockers. At least that's how they were last year. That was also true of Dylan Gibbons during his tenure at Notre Dame. So is Notre Dame going to be able to take advantage of that? That's another question mark that I have. They should. If they can't, that's going to be, again, you talk about early red flags, that would be one. Now, you could chalk it up to first games and all that kind of stuff, but there does come a point in time when you have to say, okay, I'm sorry, that's a team you should thrive. So we talked about the concerns we have on the perimeter. That's the greatest way to neutralize it is right there, Vince. Well, you want to neutralize great athletes, get to the quarterback.
And that's my biggest takeaway from the pass offense versus the pass defense for Notre Dame. And I've been saying it all along. That's how you protect a young secondary or an inexperienced secondary is by getting after the quarterback. And I think that this Notre Dame front, whether it's the front 3/4, or in a combination of with the linebackers, I think that they're going to be able to do that. And that the biggest weakness to this pass offense is the offensive line going into this game that we know about. Right now, they are shuffling some things around. There's guys like you said that aren't starting that started last year. Obviously, Dylan Gibbons is an addition that he wasn't there last year. But as a unit, they're going to have to prove to me that they can stop the pass rush.
Right.
They're going to have to. And I don't think that they're going to be able – they might be able to slow it down a little bit, but I don't think they're going to be able to contain it the whole time. And I think that's the biggest mismatch in this in this show for me is Notre Dame's pass rush versus Florida State's offensive line. I just don't think that they can stop them.
Agree. I agree based on what we've seen. Now, Notre Dame has to prove us correct on that.
Oh, yeah.
And again, this is going to be interesting because if Florida State, in my opinion, is going to go after Cam Hart and they're going to go after Houston Griffith, they're going to say, because they went after Houston last year. Remember, Houston was committed to Florida State for a while, if you remember correctly, as part of the 2018 class. Notre Dame flipped them from Florida State. They went after him last year. Houston did not play well. He gets a chance at redemption. And then you look at Cam Hart, they're going to go after him. Hey, what's this kid, converted wide receiver? Let's go after him. So both of those guys are going to get challenged early. And curious
that's what I would do.
Yep.
I think Houston Griffith is playing with a confidence level that we haven't seen before.
And he didn't have that last year.
No, gosh, no. I've seen it with my own two eyes again. I've seen him playing with that confidence. So I agree with you. I think that's exactly what Florida State is going to do. They're going to go after 3 and they're going to go after 5, and that's what they should do based on past results and based on
a smart coach would do that. And Mike Norvell is a smart coach.
Yeah, absolutely. But I have faith in the guys that they're going to be going up against.
So advantage, Vince, for you in this game, in the pass game matchup
it goes to Notre Dame, and it's because of the pass rush. I said I have faith in the guys in the back. I do, but I still need to kind of see it.
Yeah,
I have more faith in the pass rush versus Florida State's offensive line.
Yeah, look, I mentioned that Florida State has good players. Keyshawn Helton's a good short, kind of good route runner, really shifty kind of guy with some speed. Ontario Wilson's a good, solid football player. Andrew Parchment's a really good route runner. He transferred from Kansas. He's kind of their big guy. He's 6'2", 6'3". The other two kids are like 6 foot, 5'9". They're going to bring some big guys off the bench. So they're going to be able to throw a lot at Notre Dame, and I do like their talent. I like Cam McDonald at tight end. Their running backs can make plays in the pass game, but I think Notre Dame's got some athletes too that I'm excited to see. And so I think ultimately it's really close from a skill standpoint, but I give Notre Dame the advantage because one name we didn't mention is Kyle Hamilton.
Right.
The best player on the football field in this matchup is going to be wearing a Notre Dame helmet. Okay. So that's something that you look at. I think that helps. I think Notre Dame can match them athlete for athlete, if not superior, slightly superior. But it's in the trenches where Notre Dame should have the big advantage, and that's why I give Notre Dame a clear advantage in this part of the game. And if that turns out not to be true, then this is probably going to be a more competitive game than we think it will be.